Let's begin by offering our respects to ISKCON founder Acharya and our preeminent Shiksha Guru, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Vyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, so we welcome all of you to our weekly online Bhagavad Gita classes. This is the last class for this batch in the Bhagavad Gita. Today we will be summarizing the last 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, if Krishna so sanctions. So we have with us here Aunty Nita, Shivani, Varsha, Divya, Meena Bharwani, Durga Prasad, Dipti Adani. My parents are there. Then we have Disha Milwani, Lal and Mehak Milwani, Devina, Jagrati, Swapna, Manju, Karuna, and Amrita Mataji. And now we have Sri Radhe Hari Devidasi. Okay, so in the previous class, we finished with chapter number 18 by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. And today we will try to summarize the last 6 chapters. So we started this class on the 22nd of April 2023, and we planned it for an 18-month duration, and we finished 18 months last Saturday. No, so we are quite good on the time, on the time frame that we had planned this course out. By the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we have been able to finish the 18 chapters as we had scheduled. So let's see an overview of chapters 13 to 18. So chapter 13 is titled Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness. And as we discussed previously, this is considered to be the most technical chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. When students of Bhakti Shastri render exams, then this chapter they find a little bit more challenging, to study and to learn and to give the exam. So let's see the summary. In the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna discussed how karma yoga, action on the platform of knowledge, leads to bhakti. In the second 6 chapters, Krishna spoke directly of himself and the glories of devotional service. In the third 6 chapters, Krishna discusses how jnana leads to bhakti. So basically, the first 6 chapters are how karma leads to bhakti. The middle 6 chapters focuses exclusively on bhakti, and the last 6 chapters discuss on how jnana leads to bhakti. But you will find bhakti in every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Every single chapter of the Gita, you will find bhakti. So starting with the 13th chapter, how the living entity comes into contact with material nature and how he is delivered by the Supreme Lord through the different methods of fruitive activities, cultivation of knowledge and devotional service are explained. So this is divided into, you can say, 5 sections. This chapter began, let's go to our Veda base. You can see the Veda base on the screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to chapter 13. See here, chapter 13 began with Arjuna asking a question. He wants to know the meaning of these technical terms. No? So he wants to know the meaning of Prakriti, what is Prakriti, what is Purusha, what is the field, what is Kshetra, and the knower of the field or the Kshetragya. What is Jnana, knowledge, and what is the object of knowledge, Neya. So he's inquiring about 6 terms here. And Krishna immediately he explains the field and the knower of the field. What he's explaining here is Arjuna's third and fourth questions. Krishna is not answering Arjuna's first and second question. First he answers what is the field, the third and the fourth question, field and the knower of the field. So what is the field? Krishna says is the body. So this body is the field of activities. It is in this body that we conduct our activities, and the knower of the body and one who knows this body is the knower of the field. So which is the living entity. So the living entity is the knower of the field of activities. The body is the field of activities and the living entity is the knower of the field of activities. Krishna is saying. So when we did this chapter in detail, we explained why Krishna chooses to first explain Arjuna's third and fourth question is because the ABC of spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge begins with the knowledge that I am not this body, I am spirit soul. So that is the first thing that we need to understand. And this is the reason why Krishna is first explaining the body and the knower of the body, which is the living entity. So this is the basics of spiritual knowledge. Then Krishna goes on to say that apart from the entity, who is the knower of the field, there is another one, that there is another knower of the field, which is he himself. He says that I am also the knower in all the bodies. So there are 2 knowers of the field of activities. One is a living entity and the other is Krishna himself, because Krishna is residing as a Paramatma in the heart of every living entity. So he knows exactly what is going on in our bodies and he knows exactly what is going on in all other bodies. The difference between the 2 knowers of the body, 2 knowers of the field of activities, is that we know what is going on in our body, but Krishna knows what is going on in all the bodies. So there are 2 knowers of the bodies. Then Krishna goes on to explain how this body is constituted, what are the changes, and all these other details, he goes on to explain about the body and how it is made up of these different elements, no? The five great elements, then false ego intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, mind, five senses. So how the body is made up of all these elements and how these are the interactions, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, aggregate life symptoms and convictions are the interactions of the field of activities. So with this, Krishna answers Arjuna's third and fourth question. Then Krishna answers Arjuna's question on knowledge. What is knowledge? See here. No, here he's inquiring about knowledge. So the fifth question, Krishna is explaining here from verses 8 to 12. He briefly also explained knowledge here. Where is that? Here. Because here in the third verse, Krishna says, you should understand that I am also the knower in all the bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. So here Krishna has briefly explained what is jnana. But here from verses 8 to 12, he goes on to explain in greater detail. And he gives us 20 items of knowledge, 20 items of knowledge. And all these items of knowledge, all this knowledge or jnana begins with humility. Humility, no. Krishna uses the word amanitvam. See here, amanitvam. So, in order to attain knowledge, the first quality, the first qualification that one requires is humility. One should be willing to take a subordinate position. No, with humility only then one can attain knowledge. Then in verse 13, Krishna says, I shall now explain the knowable. The knowable. What do we have to know? No, Neya. Arjuna's sixth question. And then Krishna explains the super soul, how the super soul is present everywhere, how the super soul is the original source of all the senses, and how he's existing everywhere. No, so he goes on to explain about the super soul, because at the end of the day, we have to know Krishna. We have to know the super soul. So here we can see here in the summary. So verses 1 to 7, Krishna explains Kshetra and Kshetragya, the third and fourth questions of Arjuna. Then 8 to 12, he explains the 20 items of knowledge. No? So here is explained Jnana, Arjuna's fifth question. And then he explains the object of knowledge, Neya, which is Arjuna's sixth question, 13 to 19. So object of knowledge is the, Krishna is explaining, in this section, he's explaining about the super soul. Then 20 to 26, Prakriti, Purusham and their union. So 20 to 26, Krishna is explaining Arjuna's first and the second question, because his first and second question were, what is Prakriti and what is Purusha? So Prakriti is material nature and the living entity is Purusha. So Purusha means the enjoyer, no? The enjoyer. So Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. That's why he is called as a Purushottama. No, he's not only Purusha, but he's Purushottama. He's Uttama means topmost. So he's a topmost person. He's a topmost enjoyer. We are also Purushas. We are also enjoyers, but we are small, tiny, minuscule, irrelevant enjoyers. No, we are the Purusha with a small p, and Krishna is the enjoyer with the capital P. So he's a supreme enjoyer. So Krishna goes on to explain how nature is the cause of all material cause and effects, whereas a living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in the world. Because when we try to enjoy independently from Krishna, then we will be then there will be suffering, and we can minutely enjoy. But when we enjoy with Krishna, then that is eternally blissful. Eternally blissful. We can always be happy. Then Krishna goes on to talk about how the living entity is coming under the three modes of material nature, because of our association with that material nature, because of our association with Prakriti, the Purusha is coming under the influence of the modes of material nature. See, actually the living entity, the Jiva, us, we belong to Krishna's superior marginal energy. Now Krishna has superior energy, marginal energy, and inferior energy. And material nature belongs to Krishna's inferior energy, whereas the jivas belong to Krishna's superior energy, in the sense that we are parts and parcels of Krishna, eternally parts and parcels of Krishna. But because we can come under the dominance of material nature, being the superior nature, we can come under the dominance of the inferior nature. Therefore, we are the superior marginal energy, because that tendency is there and that possibility is there, that although we belong to Krishna's superior energy, we can come under the influence of the inferior energy. So therefore, we are Krishna's superior marginal energy. So that margin is there, that ability to come under the influence of the inferior nature is there. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. So if we can only understand Prakriti, the jiva, and how the interaction is there of this jiva with material nature, no? How is it that we are coming under the influence of the material nature, then we can attain liberation, Krishna is saying. Then in the final section, which is titled as Jnana Chakshu, seeing through the eyes of Shastra, seeing or understanding through the eyes of knowledge, seeing through the eyes of knowledge, Jnana Chakshu. No, so this final section, Krishna is saying how we should see things, how to see the super soul. No, one who sees the super soul equally present everywhere, one who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all the body, one who can see all the activities performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. So this whole section is titled as Jnana Chakshu. Jnana Chakshu, vision of knowledge, seeing through the vision of knowledge. So finally, Krishna concludes saying, those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, one who can see the difference between the body and the soul and the super soul, and can understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. So this is how Krishna ends chapter number 13. And here in next chapter, chapter 14, Krishna is talking about the three modes of material nature, because previously Krishna is talking about how the living entity comes under the influence of the modes of material nature because of its association with the modes of material nature. So that leads Krishna to explain the three modes of material nature in detail. How can I get rid of this blue mark here? Does anybody know?
There is a pen icon on your left bottom. If you click that, there is an eraser. No, not on the PPT. Like on your computer, there will be a green pen icon when you share the screen, I guess.
I don't see it.
Or you can just stop sharing and then reshare it.
Oh, I think it's here. Yeah. Oh, yes. Thank you. Okay, so 14, chapter 14 titled The Three Modes of Material Nature. Chapter 13 described the conditioned soul as distinct from material nature, yet entangled by it, trapped within his field of activities. So chapter 14 reveals in detail how the living entity is limited and controlled by the powerful shackles of material nature. So how is it that the living entity is limited and controlled by this material nature? How the bonds are so powerful, no? The three modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. At the end of this chapter, Krishna informs us how to attain freedom from these modes. So here Arjuna actually asks a question: how can we transcend the three modes? And in answer to that, then Krishna explains how we can attain freedom from these three modes. So here in this chapter 1 to 9, Krishna talks about the conditioning of the modes, how these modes are conditioning us. Let's go to our Veda base. Sorry. So here again Krishna says, again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. So here Krishna talks about how we have come into existence, how one is, how the living entity, how Krishna, how this material nature is impregnated by Krishna. So we have already discussed in detail how we have discussed the process of creation, no? How from Krishna comes Balaram. From Balaram come the four quadruple expansion, the Chatuvyuha, the first Chatuvyuha. From them comes Narayan. From Narayan comes the second Chatuvyuha. Then from the second Chatuvyuha expansions come Mahavishnu or Karanodakashayi Vishnu. This Karanodakashayi Vishnu is breathing and he's creating universes. And by the glance of this Mahavishnu or Karanodakashayi Vishnu, all the living entities are transferred into the womb of material nature, are transferred into material nature. And how that glance of Mahavishnu takes the form of Shambhu, of Lord Shiva. And then Lord Shiva and Durga unite, and how all the living entities are coming from the womb of Durga Devi. This is the reason why Goddess Durga and Lord Shiva are considered to be the mother and the father of the universe. So this impregnation, so Krishna is saying he impregnates because finally everything is coming from him. So he's explaining how this total material substance is impregnated by Krishna himself. And that's what makes possible the birth of all the living beings. Then Krishna says how he is the seed-giving father of all the living entities. Krishna says, Aham bija pradaha pita. Aham bija pradaha pita. That he is the seed-giving father of all the living entities. Then he goes on to explain how the material nature consists of the three modes and how we become conditioned by these three modes. So what are the characteristics of the mode of passion? It is born of unlimited desires and longings because of this the embodied is bound to material fruitive activities. Mode of goodness, what is the characteristics of mode of goodness? It is illuminating. It frees one from all sinful reactions, and those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. So if one is the mode of goodness, one can actually be happy and one can be in knowledge. Mode of passion, externally it may appear that one is happy, but it is only binding. It only binds us to material fruitive activities. And then what are the characteristics of the mode of darkness? Krishna says madness, indolence, and sleep. So this is how the different modes are binding the living entities, Krishna is saying. Then 10 to 18, Krishna is explaining the characteristics, action and death in the modes. Action, death and characteristics. Yeah, so here we can see death, no? What happens when one dies in the mode of goodness? What happens when one dies in the mode of passion? And what happens when one dies in the mode of ignorance? And what is the result of one who is situated in the mode of goodness? They go to the higher planetary systems. Those who in the mode of passion, they live on the earthly planets. And those who are in the mode of ignorance, they go down to the hellish worlds. So if you want to go to the spiritual world, then which mode we need to be situated in?
Goodness. Mode of goodness.
Mode of goodness takes us to the higher planets. Higher planets means heavenly planets. But heavenly planets are still the material world.
In the mode of goodness along with Krishna consciousness.
Suddha Sattva stage.
Shuddha Sattva stage. Yeah, Shuddha Sattva stage or the mode of transcendental goodness, that is what is required to go beyond even the higher planetary systems. Because higher planets here refer to the Swarga Loka or these other planetary systems that are above Earth, but that is still again in the material world. Material world, our universe is consisting of 14 planetary systems, but we have to go even beyond. So mode of goodness takes us to higher planetary systems, but if you want to go beyond, if we have to transcend even that, then we have to go beyond the mode of goodness, and we have to be situated in the mode of transcendental goodness, the Shuddha Sattva stage. Okay. Now see, here Arjuna is asking a very crucial question. So Arjuna is saying, how can one transcend the modes of nature? So this is Arjuna's another very crucial question here. How can one transcend? Okay, this is how the modes of nature work. This is how they bind us. These are the characteristics of the modes of nature. But how can we transcend? Because we have to transcend the mode of ignorance. We have to transcend the mode of passion. We have to also transcend the mode of goodness, just what we were discussing. No? So in reply to Arjuna's question here, Krishna explains in the final section how we can transcend the modes. So basically, how we can transcend the modes by engaging in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances. This is Krishna's answer. If we want to transcend the material world, transcend the three modes, we have to engage in full devotional service and unfailingly in all circumstances. No matter what the circumstances, we have to continue to engage constantly, no satatam, constantly we have to be engaging in devotional service. Then we can come to the level of Brahman. So Brahman is the first stage, or the third aspect of the absolute truth. No, so we have discussed how the absolute truth can be realized in three features, which is Bhagavan, Paramatma, and Brahman effulgence. So Brahman effulgence is the light that is coming out from Krishna's body. So therefore, here when Krishna finally ends this chapter saying that I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. So Krishna is Para-Brahman. He's Para-Brahman. Arjuna refers to Krishna by the name Para-Brahman in chapter 11. So Krishna is saying, I am the basis of the personal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. So then chapter 15, here because now Krishna in the previous chapter he spoke about how to transcend these three modes of material nature. Now Krishna goes on to explain in detail about this material world by giving an analogy. So in chapter 15, which is titled Yoga of the Supreme Person or Purushottam Yoga, he gives the analogy of an upside down, an inverted banyan tree. An inverted banyan tree to explain how this material world is an inverted reflection of the spiritual world. So reflection means what? Everything that is there in the original is there in the reflection. So everything that is there in the spiritual world is there in the material world, but the reflection is inverted. So the real thing is in the spiritual world. Here we only have an image or an illusion, or the contaminated thing of that which is there in the spiritual world. For example, love exists in the spiritual world. The inverted reflection of love in the material world is lust. No? So for us here, it is actually lust, but what we think it is love, but actually it is only lust. That's why it vanishes.
Ataji, can you
Yes.
please extend the explanation of this banyan tree?
Yeah, so banyan tree, if you have a tree by the river, no, so the original tree is standing straight. That is the spiritual world. Now the reflection of that banyan tree is in the river. So that reflection is inverted, right? Here you will see that here Krishna says that the roots are upward. See, in an original tree, the roots are down. But in the reflection, if that tree is put upside down in the reflection, in the shadow, then the roots are upward and the branches are down. So which means the material world is an inverted reflection of the spiritual world. Is an inverted reflection of the spiritual world. So the real thing is in the spiritual world. The inverted or the contaminated thing is there in the material world. So the example that we just saw is pure love. Love is in the spiritual world. The reflection of that in the material world is lust. Like that. So real happiness is in the spiritual world. In the material world, there may be temporary happiness or happiness that you can enjoy for some period of time. See, Srila Prabhupada gave the example of happiness or enjoyment in the material world is like having a nice bowl of sweet rice with sand mixed in it. Can you really enjoy that sweetness? We cannot really.
No.
No? So that is the happiness in the material world. The real happiness, the real thing, the real nectar is in the spiritual world. So the material world is like an inverted banyan tree, which means it is an inverted reflection of the original tree. This is the example that Krishna is giving to explain the material world. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I need to get rid of this mark. Okay. So here Krishna continues with his analogy. Let's go to here. This. See, chapter 15. Chapter 14 describes the modes of material nature, those forces that restrict and control a soul within his field of activities. Now, Krishna, using the allegory of an ashwatha or a banyan tree, describes the entire material world with its varieties of fields of activities situated on higher and lower branches of the tree. So, just as how a tree has higher and lower branches, in the same way the material world has higher and lower planetary systems. So just as how there are different living entities, or there are different entities on the branch of a tree, you have entities on the higher planetary systems, on the middle planetary systems, and in the lower planetary systems. So why does Krishna use a banyan tree to give this analogy? Is because a banyan tree is huge and big, and it has many branches. It has aerial roots. It has aerial roots. So it appears like the roots are growing upward. It gives that impression. If you see the picture of a banyan tree, if you go to the slides of chapter 15, you can see I have put photos there of a banyan tree, and why Krishna uses this banyan tree to explain the nature of this material world. So here in the first five shlokas, Krishna is explaining the banyan tree and how one can come out of this banyan tree. See here, we can cut through this banyan tree with determination, Krishna says. So it's very complex. There are many branches. It is strongly rooted. But Krishna says with determination, one can cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. So if you're stuck up in the mesh of the branch of a tree, then you need a weapon to cut through. You need a sword. So with the sword of knowledge, with the weapon of detachment, with the weapon and with determination, one can cut down this strongly rooted tree of material existence, Krishna is saying. And we must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns. So yet again, Krishna is assuring that once you reach the spiritual world, you will never come back again to this material world. Then Krishna goes on to describe the nature of that spiritual world. Okay, so Krishna is saying that once you can get rid of that existence, come out of that material world and come to the spiritual world from which never returns. One may say, but why should I come to the spiritual world? What is there in it for me? So Krishna goes on to explain how the spiritual world is not illumined by the sun or the moon or the fire or electricity. How here the material world is very difficult, because here Krishna says that here we are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. So we know how Arjuna mentioned in chapter 6 that the mind is very difficult to control. Arjuna says that he can control the wind, but he cannot control the mind. So the living entities are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind, Krishna is saying. But the spiritual world is that place where we don't have to struggle. There the nature of the spiritual world is Satchit Ananda, eternal, full of knowledge and always blissful. That is the nature of the spiritual world. Then 6 to 11, Krishna talks about transmigration, how the living entities are taking up one body after another body. So we take one body after another gross body, and so we are obtaining a certain type of senses, and we are enjoying a particular set of sense objects. So the living entity is transmigrating from one body to another body, depending on what he deserves and what he desires. Then 12 to 15, Krishna as the maintainer. Krishna as the maintainer. So Krishna is saying that splendor of the moon comes from me, the splendor of the sun comes from me, the splendor of the fire also comes from me. How Krishna is maintaining each and every one of us. How it is because of him that the planets are staying in orbit. It's because the juice of the vegetables, the juice of the fruits, it comes from the moon, and that moon is nothing but Krishna. So, and then it is Krishna who's digesting the fire, or who's the fire of digestion. So, even to digest the food that we eat, we need Krishna. We cannot even digest the food that we eat on our own. For that, also, we need Krishna. For everything, we need Krishna. So, Krishna is explaining how he is the maintainer, Here, he says, he is seated in everyone's heart. So it is Krishna. The Paramatma is no one else other than Krishna. See, sometimes in other parts, when people are preaching, the Guru will say Paramatma, Paramatma, Paramatma. But who is that Paramatma? That Paramatma is none other than Krishna himself. We know that when we come to Bhagavad Gita. No, Krishna is saying, I am seated in everyone's heart. So that Paramatma is none other than Krishna. And what is the Paramatma doing? He is giving us knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So Krishna is saying, by all the Vedas, I am to be known. I am the compiler of the Vedas, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So Krishna has compiled the Vedas. He is knower of the Vedas. And from all the Vedas, ultimately, we have to come to know Krishna only. So this is also very, very nice and important verse. See, Vedanta Krit, Vedavit. Krishna is both Vedanta Krit and he is Vedavit. And from all the Vedas, Aham Eva Vedo. We have to know Krishna only. Then 16 to 20, summary of the Vedanta Sutra. So here we saw what is called as a Tri-Shloki Gita. So 16, 17 and 18, this is called as a Tri-Shloki Gita. Krishna is summarizing the entire Vedanta in these 3 verses. So what does he explain in these 3 verses? Krishna goes on to explain, first of all, that there are 2 classes of living entities, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, everyone is fallible. Everyone can fall down. In the spiritual world, everyone is infallible. They do not fall down. Then, so after he establishes that there are 2 classes of beings, he goes on to say that beyond these 2, there is another one who is greater than both these personalities, both the fallible and the infallible. Who is beyond both the fallible and the infallible is the super soul, is the super soul or the supreme soul, or the Paramatma. And then Krishna says that who is that person who is beyond the fallible and the infallible? It is none other than Krishna himself. Krishna says, because I am the greatest, I am celebrated celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. So Krishna is the Paramatma, Krishna is the Purushottam. He is the supreme person. So these 3 verses are called as a Tri-Shloki Gita, because it establishes who are we, it establishes who is the Paramatma, and who is beyond us, who is beyond the living entities, who is beyond the fallible and infallible is the Paramatma. And who is that Paramatma? That Paramatma is none other than Krishna himself. So obviously, if we know that we are subordinate to Krishna, then we have to serve him. And by serving him, we develop love for God. And when we develop love for God, when we develop love for Krishna, then we engage in even more devotional service from our hearts. Then we come to the stage of bhava and prema. And then our heart is purified. And then we can go back home, back to Godhead. So this is the Tri-Shloki Gita. And also this we discussed previously 3 concepts, Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. SAP, SAP. By remembering SAP, we can remember these 3 words. Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. What is Sambandha? Sambandha means to establish our relationship with God. That is Sambandha. Then Abhideya means what do we do after we have established that relationship? Obviously, now if we know that our relationship with God is that He is the master, we are the servants, we are eternally His parts and parcels. So that is the Sambandha. Then abhideya means, so what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Obviously, we have to engage in devotional service because a servant has to serve. So abhideya means, what are we going to do in relation to that sambandha? We have to engage in devotional service. Then prayojana means, what is it that we get in return? Okay, I am engaging in devotional service, but what do I get in return? What do I get in return? That is prayojana. So 16, 17, 16, 17, 18 establishes the sambandha. Who are we? And what is our relationship with God? Then 19 establishes abhideya. Abhideya means, so therefore what we have to do? We have to engage in full devotional service. To whom? To Krishna. So this 19th verse is establishing the abhideya. What do we have to do? And then the 20th verse, the last verse in this chapter, establish the prayojana. What do we get in return? What do we get in return for that? So Krishna says, your endeavor will know perfection. So we can attain our perfectional stage by engaging in full devotional service to Krishna. So these last 5 shlokas, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, they are establishing sambandha, abhideya, and prayojana. This is chapter number 15. How many verses Arjuna has spoken in chapter 15?
27.
Chapter 15 has only 20 shlokas. How many has Arjuna spoken here? Has Arjuna spoken in chapter 15? Yes or no? Okay, so this chapter is spoken exclusively by Krishna. Krishna doesn't speak any, Arjuna doesn't speak any verse in this chapter. This chapter is spoken completely exclusively by Krishna. How many chapters in the Bhagavad Gita you have where only Krishna speaks? In the entire Bhagavad Gita, anybody knows? I think we have mentioned this in the classes. There are 4 chapters in the Bhagavad Gita where only Krishna speaks. What are they? The first chapter of the Bhakti section is chapter number which is the first chapter of the Bhakti section of the Bhagavad Gita? Come on. We said Bhagavad Gita is divided into 3 sections. First 6, middle 6, last 6. So the middle 6 chapters are the Bhakti section of the Bhagavad Gita. So which is the first chapter of the Bhakti section of the Bhagavad Gita? Chapter number?
6. 7.
7. Thank you. Okay, so 7th chapter is the first chapter of the Bhakti section of the Bhagavad Gita. And there Krishna speaks exclusively. Okay. And then comes chapter number 9, which is titled, who remembers the title of chapter 9 of the Bhagavad Gita? The most
confidential knowledge.
Yes, the most confidential knowledge. So 9 also is spoken exclusively by Krishna. So chapter 7, 9, and now 15 and chapter 16. So these are the 4 chapters that are spoken exclusively by Krishna. What are they? 7, 9, 15 and 16. Okay. So now let's go to chapter number 16. Chapter 16 is titled Divine and Demoniac Natures. So chapter 15 describes the banyan tree of the material world. The modes of material nature nourish both the upper auspicious divine branches of the tree and the lower demoniac branches. In the 16th chapter, Krishna explains the divine qualities that elevate one within the tree and lead to ultimate liberation. So, see, in 15, Krishna explained the inverted tree of material existence. So, in that inverted tree, we discuss how there are higher branches, middle branches, and lower branches. So, what kind of people are situated in the higher branches of that tree of material existence are people who have divine qualities because they are closer to transcending the material world and going to the spiritual world. No, so they are in the higher branches. And what kind of people are situated in the lower branches are the people who have demoniac nature. So this is what leads to Krishna to this. This is the connecting link between chapter 15 and chapter 16. So what kind of qualities one needs to have to be on the higher branches, middle branches and lower branches. So verses 1 to 6, Krishna explains transcendental and demoniac qualities. The first three verses, Krishna is talking about the divine qualities, okay? And then from 4, he is talking about the those qualities of those who belong to those who have demoniac natures. Then Krishna says transcendental qualities are conducive to liberation, whereas demoniac qualities make for bondage. If one has demoniac qualities, then one is bound more and more in this material world. But if one has transcendental qualities, then you are well situated to transcend the tree of material existence and take the leap and go to the spiritual world. Then 7 to 18, demoniac nature. So here Krishna goes on to explain from 7 to 18 what is the nature of those people who are demoniac. So he gives more emphasis on explaining the demoniac qualities rather than explaining the divine qualities. And then in the last section of this chapter, 19 to 24, Krishna talks about the results of demoniac activities. What will happen to the people who have demoniac natures? They repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life. Then Krishna says that there are 3 gateways leading to hell. So the demoniac have these 3 principal qualities. What are they? Lust, anger, and greed. So Krishna says that there are 3 ways, 3 gates leading to hell: lust, anger, and greed. So therefore, one must stay away from these 3 qualities. Otherwise, they would lead to the degradation of the soul. And towards the end, Krishna gives one definition for all. Basically, he says anybody who's following Shastras, they are divine. Anybody who is not following Shastras, they are demoniac in nature. So it doesn't matter what activity you do, even if you're doing a lot of, you may be giving millions of dollars in charity, but if that charity is not according to Shastric injunctions, then it is considered to be demoniac only. So anything that is under Shastra is divine. Anything that is done according to what one thinks is right, no, according to one's own whims, no, if it's against the Shastra, then it is demoniac. Then chapter 17, titled Divisions of Faith. So here, see, in the previous chapter, Krishna spoke about divine and demoniac natures, white and black qualities. No, those who are divine are white, and those who are demoniac are black. So Arjuna's question here in the beginning of chapter 17 is, what about those people who are in between? They are not completely divine, they are not completely demoniac, they are not completely white, nor are they completely black. They are in what we call as the gray areas in between. So Arjuna wants to know, what about those who are in between? So that leads Krishna to explain the divisions of faith. So let's read. In chapter 16, Krishna has established that faithful followers of Shastra are divine and that the faithless are demoniac. But into which category does a man fit who follows with faith something other than Shastra? So he is following something with faith, but something other than Shastra. So what is the fate of such a person is Arjuna's question at the beginning of chapter number 17. So that leads to Krishna explaining the faith in the 3 modes. First, he explains the faith in 3 modes. So Krishna says, men in the mode of goodness worship the devatas. Those in the mode of passion worship the demons. So now we know, no, many people, they want to glorify and they want to worship demons like Ravan and Karna also. They glorify and they worship. So that is faith in the mode of passion. And those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. So those who engage in black magic or this kind of worship that goes on in the graveyards, no, that is worship in the mode of ignorance, Krishna is saying. So he's first explaining the worship in the 3 modes. Then he explains foods in the 3 modes. So let's go here. faith, worship, and foods in the three modes. So here you can see how he's explaining the foods in the three modes. See, nowadays we have so much information, so many reels, so many videos and information on the internet about what to eat and what not to eat. But Krishna has said this millions of years ago, what we should eat and what we should not eat. So foods in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, Krishna is saying. So if we eat sattvic food, then the duration of life will increase. It will purify our existence, our mind, our thoughts also will be purified. And it gives us strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. So such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. So what foods we should eat? Krishna has already explained in the Bhagavad Gita. We should eat sattvic food. Sattvic food. Foods that are too sour, too bitter, too salty, too hot, too pungent, dry, and burning are dear for those in the mode of passion. They cause distress, misery, and disease. So onion and garlic is food in the mode of passion. Then food in the mode of ignorance. Food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten. So fresh food, one must eat as far as possible, fresh food. The only food that can be eaten beyond 3 hours is prasad, because prasad is not in the mode of goodness, is not in the mode of passion, is not in the mode of ignorance. It is in the transcendental mode of goodness. No, it is beyond the three modes. So unless the food is prasad, then one should eat within 3 hours of preparing that food should be eaten. So what is the modern day Kali Yuga lifestyle? We eat more of frozen food, more of canned food. We eat food and then we keep it in the fridge, and the next day again we take it out and we reheat it, and again we eat that, then again it is remaining, and again we put it back in the fridge, and again we reheat it. So that is going on. So we can see how the health is affected now in the modern times now. Although there is so much advancement in science, there are more diseases that are coming, and people are living shorter duration of life. Then Krishna explains sacrifices, austerity, and penances in the three modes. Sacrifices, austerity, penances, and also charity. He explains in the three modes. See here, charity. So even charity is there in the three modes. Charity should be given at the proper time, at the proper place, to a worthy person, without expectation of anything in return, given out of duty. That is charity in the mode of goodness. If we give charity in a grudging mode, if we give charity expecting something in return, if we give charity to an unworthy person, no, then that is charity in the mode of passion and ignorance. And that is not recommended in the Shastra. Then in the end, Krishna talks about Om Tat Sat. He explains this Om Tat Sat. So these words Om Tat Sat are indicating the supreme absolute truth. So every mantra starts with Om. Every chant starts with Om, irrespective of whether one is a personalist or an impersonalist. Any mantra begins with Om, and that Om is nothing but Krishna only. So even if one does not externally accept Krishna, any mantra that one chants, one is actually invoking the name of Krishna. So Krishna goes on to explain how when we chant Om Tat Sat, then any mistakes that may have been done in carrying out any Vedic process, any ceremony, any ritual, it can be purified. Those mistakes can be overwritten by chanting Om Tat Sat. Of course, in the modern times, we chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Shastra also explains how when any ceremony, any activity is accompanied by the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then all those mistakes are forgotten and forgiven. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us this Maha Mantra. When Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita, it was 5,000 years back. And that time the Maha Mantra was not openly, freely available to everyone. It is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who gave us this Maha Mantra. Irrespective of whether one is qualified or not qualified, anyone can chant. No. So when we accompany any activity with kirtan, with Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting, then everything else, any mistakes that are done in the process, everything is can be forgiven and forgotten. So that is the reason why when you go to ISKCON temples, when there is any yagya or when there is any abhishek or any ceremony, it is accompanied by kirtan. It is always accompanied by kirtan. So much for Om Tat Sat. Then Krishna goes on to say how anything whatever you do, sacrifice, charity, or penance, if it is done without faith, it is useless. It is asat. It is impermanent. It is useless both in this life and the next. So whatever activity that we do, we have to do with faith in the Supreme. We have to do with faith in the Supreme. So again, Krishna is talking about bhakti, how we should have faith, bhakti yoga. Then Krishna goes on to 18th chapter. The entire Bhagavad Gita is concluded in 17 chapters, and to emphasize the goal of surrender to Krishna, the essence of the previous chapters is taught in this, the final chapter. Here Krishna concludes, as he has done throughout the Bhagavad Gita, that one should practice devotional service. So actually Bhagavad Gita finishes in 17 chapters, and 18th is only a summary of all that Krishna has spoken so far. So the first 12 verses, Krishna explains Karma Yoga, and then 13 to 18 he explains Jnana Yoga. So see, this chapter 18 begins with Arjuna asking this question again. He wants to know the difference between Tyaga and Sannyasa. Basically, he's asking this question for the third time. Third time he's asking Krishna, basically the same question. He asked this question in the beginning of chapter 3. He asked this question at the beginning of chapter 5, and again he's asking the same question in the beginning of chapter 18. And Krishna very patiently explains this even deeper and from different angles of vision every time Arjuna asks this very same question. So Krishna goes on to explain, as we discussed, Karma Yoga till chapter 12, where Krishna says that how the activities should be done. If the activities are done without attachment and without any expectation of result as a matter of duty, then it is the same. Actually, Krishna equates Tyaga and Sannyas. Krishna says there is no difference between renunciation and renounced order of life. If one is living a life like this, then that is also living in the renounced order of life. That is renunciation. So one may be a grihastha, vanaprastha, or a brahmachari or sannyas, doesn't matter. One is considered to be in the renounced order. No, it depends on what is one's mentality. So that Krishna says there is no difference between these two concepts. So he talks about how we should perform our activities. No, so till 12 he's summarizing the karma section of the Bhagavad Gita, and then Krishna goes on to talk about the 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. So any action requires 5 factors. So what are the 5 factors? The place of action, the performer of the action, the various senses which are the instruments to carry out that action, then the kinds of endeavor, and ultimately, of course, the super soul. So we cannot say that whatever I have achieved is only because of me. No, because there are other factors also that are involved in any action. Neither can we blame Krishna for our bad activities. When we commit mistakes, when we commit sinful activities, we cannot say that, oh, Krishna made me do it. No, but there are other factors also that are involved. So there are 5 factors of action Krishna is saying. So whatever action one does, whether it's right or wrong, is caused by these 5 factors. So we are not the only doers. We are not the only doers. So Krishna says, if you think that you are the only doer, then you are not very intelligent. So then that means that person is foolish and they cannot see the things as they are. See, then here in 18, he talks about the 3 factors that motivate action, which are knowledge, object of knowledge, and the knower, and the senses, the work, and the doer are the 3 constituents of action. So then in 19, he reduces these 6 items to 3. And so what is he going to explain now? Knowledge, action, and performer of the action. Jnana, karma, and karta. So now he explains jnana, karma, and karta in each of the 3 modes of material nature. So that's what follows here. So here you have the karta. Then Krishna says, I will explain to you in detail about the understanding and determination. So then he explains understanding and determination in the 3 modes. And that is what follows here. Then finally, Krishna explains happiness in the 3 modes of material nature. So what is happiness in the mode of goodness? It appears like poison at first, but at the end it is nectarian. So we may We may have some inconveniences when we start off our sadhana, when we start our chanting, when we have to follow the four principles. There may be inconvenience and we may not like it, but ultimately it will lead to purification. It will lead to happiness. It will lead to satisfaction of the heart, and ultimately it will lead to us going back home, back to Godhead. So although it may appear like poison in the beginning, but at the end it is just like nectar. So that is happiness in the mode of goodness. Happiness in the mode of passion, it is the reverse. It is the opposite of the happiness, the mode of goodness. It appears like nectar in the first, but poison at the end. So initially we may we may enjoy our sinful activities, meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, gambling. We may think that, wow, this is great. But at the end, it is only going to bring us pain. It is poison at the end, because ultimately it is going to affect our lifespan. It is going to affect our mentality, our thoughts. It contaminates. It takes away our purification, and it will bring disease and so many other, and it keeps us bound in this material world. So that is happiness in the mode of passion. And happiness in the mode of ignorance, there is no happiness at all. There is only delusion, laziness, sleep, and illusion. So that is happiness in the mode of ignorance, Krishna is saying. Then Krishna goes on to say that there is no being existing either here nor amongst the demigods. So nobody is free from these modes of material nature, Krishna is saying. So there is no being existing either here or amongst the devatas in the higher planetary systems, which is free from these three modes born of material nature. Then 41 to 48, worshipping Krishna through one's work. So when Krishna talks about worshipping him through our work, he talks about again the Varnashram system, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. What are the qualities and what are the duties of the Brahmanas, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudras? Then from Jnana Yoga to pure devotional service. Then from Jnana Yoga, Krishna talks about pure devotional service. See here. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes a supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires anything to have. He is equally disposed to every living entity. So when one engages in Jnana Yoga, you are transcendently situated. You are in the position of never lamenting or desiring anything, and you are equally disposed to every living entity. Now that will lead to bhakti. That leads to pure devotional service. So when we did the yoga ladder, we saw how we have karma yoga, then we have jnana yoga, then we have dhyana yoga, and then we have bhakti yoga. So from jnana yoga, then here Krishna is touching upon bhakti yoga, pure devotional service. But we have already discussed the glory of Bhakti Yoga is that we don't have to go through these lower yoga systems. We don't have to go through Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and then come to Bhakti Yoga. Whoever we are, at whatever place, situation, circumstances, immediately we can start engaging in Bhakti Yoga simply by Shravanam, Kirtanam, chanting and hearing the holy name. Devotional service begins with Shravanam and Kirtanam. That's the glory of Bhakti Yoga. Then 56 to 66, surrender to Krishna. See, Sharanagati. Ultimately, we have to come to the level of Sharanagati to be able to attain the goal of this human life. To be able to go back home, back to Godhead, to be able to come to the level of pure love for Krishna. So these are the concluding verses. Ultimately, Krishna is saying, surrender unto him utterly. Surrender to whom? To the Lord who is situated in everyone's heart. So surrender to the super soul. And Krishna has already said that super soul is none other than he himself, Krishna himself. Then this is another very important verse. Krishna says, I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. Yathe chasi tatha kuru. As you like, so you can do. Do what you wish to do. So Krishna is showing us how love cannot be forced. Love cannot be forced. Krishna is not forcing Arjuna. Then Krishna says that you are my very dear friend. I'm speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your own benefit. So what is this most confidential knowledge Krishna is going to speak? He says again, Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Man mana bhava mat bhakto, mat yaji mam namaskuru. This verse Krishna speaks twice in the Bhagavad Gita at the end of chapter 9, and again here in 18.65, he is speaking this instruction. And then Krishna goes on to say this very, very important verse, Sarva dharmam parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshashyami ma socha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So we don't need anything other than Krishna. We don't need anyone, anything other than Krishna consciousness. Okay, so that is enough. We don't have to be confused and entangled and by all these other different concepts that are existing. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is giving us pure knowledge, and all that we require is Krishna, and we need to surrender to Krishna. How do we surrender to Krishna? We surrender to Krishna by surrendering to his bona fide authority. And who is the bona fide authority? A bona fide spiritual master. So we surrender to Krishna by surrendering to a bona fide spiritual master, bona fide guru. Krishna himself also accepted a guru. No, he had also gone to the Gurukul and he also accepted a spiritual master. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, he also accepted a guru. So surrender to Krishna. Then Krishna goes on to explain, what do we do with all this knowledge? So Krishna says you should never explain this knowledge to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, because they will misunderstand. They will also misuse. They can also misuse this knowledge. And therefore, Krishna recommends that we should not give this knowledge to those who have, those who are not austere or devoted or not engaged in devotional service, or those who are envious of Krishna. Then Krishna gives 2 verses to encourage one who teaches the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is saying, one who explains the supreme secret of devotees, for that person pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So a person who can give this knowledge to others, Krishna says, is the most dear servant of Krishna. Therefore, we must try our best to give this knowledge to the others as much as possible. But we should be very careful when we give this knowledge to the others. We should not add or subtract anything. No, just deliver the message as it is. Then Krishna explains 2 verses for the one who is learning, for the student of the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna says that such a person can be free from sinful reactions. He can attain the auspicious planets, and such a person worships me by his intelligence. So 2 verses to encourage the students. Now 72 is the last verse that Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita. No, after 72 Krishna does not speak. So the last thing that Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita is, he is verifying, he is confirming from Arjuna, have you understood? Have you understood this knowledge? Have you heard with an attentive mind? Are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled? So Krishna wants to make sure that Arjuna has understood. Because if Arjuna would have said, I have not understood, then Krishna would have been willing to repeat the whole thing all over again. So because Krishna is an ideal teacher, he teaches with clarity, he teaches with purity, and he also wants to make sure if the student has understood. Then Arjuna's last verse in this Bhagavad Gita is 73. He says that, yes, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory. By your mercy, I am now firm and free from doubt, and I'm prepared to act according to your instructions. So this is Arjuna's decision, that he is prepared to act according to the instructions of Krishna. See the last 3 words of Arjuna. We have to learn from this. Karishye vachanam tava. I will execute your instructions. No, whatever is your order that I shall execute, Krishna is saying. I am prepared to act according to your instruction. These are the last 3 words of Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Then the last 5 verses are spoken by Sanjaya, 74 to 78, where Sanjaya is describing his own realizations and how he's feeling so blissful and how his hair is standing on end after he hears this wonderful holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, how he takes how he takes pleasure and how he's thrilled at every moment, how he's struck with wonder more and more, and how he's rejoicing again and again after hearing this conversation between two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna. And finally, Sanjaya concludes by saying, wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, so wherever there is Yogeshwar, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, Dhanurdhara, there will certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. This is my opinion. So here, Sanjaya refers to Arjuna as Dhanurdhara, which indicates that now Arjuna is all set to fight. He has lifted his bow and he's all set to fight the war. That's why here he's being referred to the name Dhanurdhara. And here one and also here Sanjay is answering Dhritarashtra's question. So Bhagavad Gita, the first verse, the Dhritarashtra is inquiring after gathering there after coming together in the battlefield, what did my sons and what did the sons of Pandu do? So Dhritarashtra was hoping for the impossible. No, he was hoping that his side will win. So that was Dhritarashtra's doubt. And here Sanjay is answering that concern of Dhritarashtra by saying that victory will be on the side of the Pandavas, because wherever there is Dhanurdhara and wherever there is Yogeshwar, there is definitely opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. So Sanjay is telling Dhritarashtra that your sons will not win this war. Now one may question, okay, Sanjay is feeling so happy and he's so wonderstruck. No, he's so wonderstruck after hearing this conversation. But the same conversation even Dhritarashtra heard. So why it did not have that effect on Dhritarashtra? How to answer this question? Why is Dhritarashtra not feeling this kind of ecstasy?
Because
He
he was
had
biased.
feelings.
Because what?
He had
He was
no
biased.
He was biased. He was more attached to his son. So although he's hearing from Krishna, it's not Krishna's words that matter to him. No, it is important whom we hear from, but it's also important whose words matter to us. Whose words matter to us. For Sanjaya, Krishna's words matter. For Sanjaya, Arjuna's pertinent questions, important questions matter. But for Dhritarashtra, the only thing that matters to him is the words of evil people like Shakuni, like Duryodhan. Though the words of those people matter to Dhritarashtra. So we should be very careful whom we hear from, and also we should be careful about whose words matter to us. Sometimes people may tell us so many things, but we should not if that advice is coming from a non-devotee, then we should not worry about such advice. Just hear and just let it go. No, it should not matter to us. What matters to us should be what Krishna says, what Shastra says, what the devotees say, what the Vaishnavas say, what our spiritual master says. Nothing else should matter to us. No, we should not become like Dhritarashtra, where words of evil-minded people or non-devotees should matter. So the words of Krishna did not have an effect on Dhritarashtra, because for Dhritarashtra, the words of Krishna did not matter. For him, the words of people like Shakuni and Duryodhan matter. So this is how we answer this question. So let's come back to our PowerPoint here. So here you can read these paragraphs, and you can go through these summaries when I share it in the group. So Krishna's names in chapters 13 to 18, which have not appeared in the previous 12 chapters, there is only one name, Keshi Nishudana, which Arjuna uses when he asks this question in the beginning of chapter 18. So he says, I have this doubt, no? What is the difference between Tyaga and Sannyas? During this question, he refers to Krishna as Keshi Nisudana, which means killer of the Keshi demon, which means you are killer of demons. So please answer the demon-like doubts that are in my mind. No, that's why Arjuna is using this name here, Keshi Nishodana, at the beginning of chapter 18. And Arjuna's names that appear in chapters 13 to 18 that did not appear in the previous 12 chapters, 4 are there. Bharata Shrestha, chief of the Bharatas. Bharata Sattama, best of the Bharatas. Purusha Vyagraha, tiger amongst the human beings. and Dhanodharaha, the carrier of the bow and arrow. So this name is used by Sanjaya, and the other three names are used by Krishna for Arjuna. So where is Bhakti in the last 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita? Here. So you can see in every chapter, Bhakti is there. You can read this when I share the slides in the group. How in there are more shlokas, only few I have put here, just to show that how there is Bhakti in every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So where it is, you can see this when I share the slides in the group. Here you have a list of the selected analogies. So there are different analogies that are given by Krishna, analogies that are given by Srila Prabhupada, because when examples are given, then we can understand difficult concepts easily. No? To make it easy for us, analogies are given by the Lord and by Srila Prabhupada. So what are the analogies that are coming in these last 6 chapters are there in these slides. So Arjuna's questions in the last 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna in 14th chapter asked, now we discussed already, he asked the meaning of these terms. What is Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Jnana and Nyeya. So this is Arjuna's question in the 14th chapter. Then in the 15th chapter he asked, how can we transcend these modes? So Krishna, in the 14th chapter he asks, how can we transcend? So Krishna is explaining the modes of material nature, but Arjuna wants to know how can we go beyond these modes? No, how can we go beyond these modes? Because ultimately, a devotee has to go beyond even the mode of goodness. So how can we transcend these modes? Arjuna asks in chapter 14. Then Arjuna's 16th question comes in chapter 17. In which mode does the faith of the scriptureless fall? So this is what Arjuna asked at the beginning of the 17th chapter. What about those who are in between, not completely divine, not completely demoniac, not completely white, not completely black, but are in between in the gray areas? No. So Arjuna's question, another important question is here: in which mode does the faith of the scriptureless fall? Then Arjuna's last question in the Bhagavad Gita is his 17th question, where he's asking in the beginning of chapter 18, practically for the third time in the Bhagavad Gita, he asks the same question: what is the difference between renunciation and the renounced order? This also we have already discussed. So what Arjuna's questions in the Bhagavad Gita tell us about him as a student? No, what do these questions show about Arjuna as a student? Arjuna's questions in the Bhagavad Gita reveal how he is eager to learn, how he is an attentive listener, how he wants a clear understanding of the terms Krishna uses, and how he seeks practically applicable guidelines. So he is eager to learn. He wants to learn. That's why he's asking questions. If one does not ask questions, then how will a person learn? How will a person learn? See, I was reading, there is a proverb. There is a proverb that says that one who asks question is a fool for 5 minutes. One who does not ask questions is a fool forever. No. So Arjuna is asking the questions because he is eager to learn. Yeah, Varsha, you have raised your hand. Varsha?
Yeah, what I don't understand is the difference between Purusha and Kshetra.
Purusha and Kshetra. Okay, Kshetra is the field of activities, the body. In this body, we are performing activities. For example, when the soul is in the body of a pig, what is the activity the pig is doing? He's eating stool. No. So Kshetra means the body, and Purusha is the knower of the body. So the soul is the knower of the body, the living entity, the jiva. But there are two knowers of the body, which is the soul, and the other one is the super soul.
Okay. So Purusha means soul and Kshetra means the activity?
No, Purusha means enjoyer. See, the literal meaning of Purusha is enjoyer, and there are two enjoyers, the living entity and the Supreme Lord or the Super Soul. So we are the Purushas or the enjoyers with a small p. We are minute enjoyers, and the Lord, Super Soul, is the Purushottama. He is the Purusha or the enjoyer, but with a capital P. Okay?
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Arjuna's question in the Bhagavad Gita reveal how he is eager to learn, how he is an attentive listener. So he listens very carefully, because when Krishna uses some terms which Arjuna cannot understand, then Arjuna inquires what is the meaning of that term. No, just as how he inquired what is Purusha, what is Prakriti, what is Kshetra, what is Kshetragya. So those 6 questions he asked because he did not understand the meaning of these terms that Krishna had used. So Arjuna is also an attentive listener. How he wants a clear understanding of the terms Krishna used. So he wants Krishna to explain clearly what is the meaning of those terms and how he seeks practically applicable guidelines. So when Krishna was talking about the modes of material nature, Arjuna asks, but how can one transcend these modes? So he is asking for practically applicable guidelines. No, how can I apply this practically? So this is what. So this is Arjuna's questions reflect this about Arjuna. So he's eager to learn. So if we are eager to learn, and when we are being taught, if we hear attentively and we seek for clear understanding, after we hear attentively, if there are some terms that we do not understood, then we should seek for clear understanding. And after that, we need to also desire how to apply that knowledge. No, so desire for practical application, that will lead to success. That will lead to success. So this is what we learn from Arjuna, how we can be a good student. How can we be successful? Because remember, Arjuna was totally down and out before the Bhagavad Gita started. Before Krishna gave him the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, you can see here he has put his bow down and he's completely overcome by compassion. He's completely clouded with so many doubts. He's completely under illusion. But what he did was he was eager to learn, so he surrendered to Krishna. He surrendered to Krishna. He said, please instruct me. No, he requested Krishna, please instruct me. So he was eager to learn. And then when Krishna taught him, he was hearing attentively. He asked for clear understanding. He asked how to apply this successfully. And therefore, then eventually Arjuna was successful. Arjuna is now all set. He has picked up his bow and arrow and he's all set to fight the war. Then what Arjuna's questions in the Bhagavad Gita tell us about Krishna as a teacher. No, Krishna as a teacher. So Krishna is calm, composed, great teacher who gives clear and patient answers. So how can we say this? See, now in 3.1, Arjuna said, why do you want me to engage in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? Because Arjuna is saying, on one side, you're saying that we should be renounced. No, we should not be attached to the fruits of the work. So we should use our intelligence. We should not get entangled in the fruits of our labor. So that is intelligence. So then why on the other side you're telling me to fight this war? Because by fighting this war, I will get the kingdom. I will enjoy royal prestige. We will enjoy a lot of opulence. So Arjuna is saying that your point is difficult to understand. Basically, Arjuna is saying your point is difficult to understand. So what does Krishna say? Krishna patiently addressed the issue each time from a deeper and different perspective to improve Arjuna's understanding. Because it is this question 3.1 that he asked again in 5.1 and again in 18.1. No. So each time he is patiently addressing the issue with a different and deeper perspective to improve Arjuna's understanding. Then when Krishna said that before you I have spoken this Bhagavad Gita knowledge to the sun god. No. So Arjuna asked him, the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you because sun is there from so many billions of years. But Krishna, you are here on my chariot. No, you are some 125 years old. So how is it possible that you have spoken this knowledge to the sun god who is millions of years senior by birth to you? So what is Arjuna basically saying is your point is difficult to believe. How can I believe this? No. So in response to this question, Krishna, without taking any personal objection, calmly points to the multiple lives they both have had as eternal souls and asserts his ability to remember them all due to his divinity. So Krishna does not tell Arjuna, hey, what do you think? When I'm saying something, I know what I'm saying, right? He's not saying like that. He doesn't take any personal objection and he says that, hey, you know what? You and me, we have both crossed through millions of lifetimes. I remember all the previous lifetimes. Therefore, I remember that I have spoken this knowledge to the sun god, but you don't remember all your previous lifetimes. Therefore, you don't understand how is it that I have spoken this knowledge to the sun god. No. Then Arjuna, When Krishna spoke about controlling the mind, Arjuna said, the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. So Arjuna is telling Krishna, your process is difficult to practice, because Krishna is talking about mind control, and Arjuna is saying that I cannot control the mind, I cannot subdue the mind, I can control the wind, but I cannot control the mind. So basically what Arjuna is saying is, your process is difficult to practice. So that is what Krishna emphasizes with Arjuna. No? He acknowledges that, yes, you're right. Krishna emphatically acknowledges that controlling the mind is tough, and then gently asserts that it is possible by suitable practice and detachment. So the more we practice with detachment, then we can control the mind. So you see how Krishna answers Arjuna's concerns in a calm, composed manner and giving clear and patient answers. So that makes Krishna a great teacher, a great teacher. And also the last point, which is not there on the slide, how Krishna wants to make sure that Arjuna has properly understood, no, which we saw in the last verse that Krishna spoke in the Bhagavad Gita was asking Arjuna if he has understood, if his illusion is now gone. No? So that also makes Krishna a great teacher. What Krishna never mentions to Arjuna in the Gita, what is it, the one thing that he never mentions is this. He never incited Arjuna by describing how the opposing Kauravas had ruthlessly and repeatedly persecuted his families. Even if Arjuna had a soft spot for Bhishma and Drona, Krishna could still have instigated Arjuna by highlighting that they too had remained passive while his wife Draupadi was dishonored right in front of their eyes. Even an ordinary man would become aggressive if his wife was insulted publicly. What then to speak of a mighty Kshatriya like Arjuna, who was more than capable of punishing anyone who dared to disrespect his wife. Yet it is remarkable that Krishna does not even mention Draupadi's disrobing. What is even more remarkable is that he doesn't refer even once to any of the Kauravas' atrocities. And what's most remarkable is that far from inciting Arjuna, Krishna repeatedly tells him to avoid danger. He even declares to avoid anger, no, to avoid anger, I'm sorry. And he even declares that anger is a gate to hell. Why does Krishna never mention Kaurava's atrocities? Because his purpose is not just to get Arjuna to fight, it is to instruct Arjuna, and through Arjuna, all of humanity for all of posterity in timeless principles of living. That's why he analyzes the various paths for spiritual growth. So this is, Krishna never mentions Draupadi's disrobing. He never mentions any of the Kauravas' atrocities, which he could have very easily done to incite a Kshatriya like Arjuna. No? But he never does that. He never does that. So how to live this Gita life? We have completed the 18 chapters. How are we going to apply? How to live a Gita life is the next obvious practical question. So we have to apply the A, B, C, D, E of Krishna consciousness. A is for association, B is for books, C for chanting, D for diet, E for engagement. We need to associate with devotees. We need to associate with devotees. We need to read Prabhupada's books. Prabhupada's books are not ordinary books. See here, I have put some links which you can read when I share the slides. If you click on them, you can see Prabhupada's Leela and how Prabhupada actually wrote his books under the instruction of the previous acharyas. No, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, they would visit Srila Prabhupada. No, see, they lived 500 years before, but they would visit Prabhupada in his room, and these books were actually dictated by them, by the great acharyas, by Krishna himself. So Prabhupada's books are not ordinary books. This is the reason why Prabhupada's books have brought about a spiritual revolution all over the world. We have already discussed how when Prabhupada went to America for the first time, already some 600, 700 versions of the Bhagavad Gita were available in the Western world. But all those different versions never made even a single devotee. But Prabhupada's books have made millions of devotees all over the world, because Prabhupada was personally empowered by Krishna to write these books. So these books are not ordinary books. So we need to read, no? So the B of our ABC, B is to read Prabhupada's books. Read Prabhupada's books. Every day, make it a habit. Just by reading Prabhupada's books, we can purify our hearts, we can purify our mind. C is for chanting, chanting the holy name. Devotional service begins with Shravanam and Kirtanam. So we must chant the holy name. If we complete Bhagavad Gita and we are not able to apply the A, B, C, D, E of Krishna consciousness, then there is no one more unfortunate than us. Nobody more unfortunate than us. So please chant. One round of the Hare Krishna mantra on your japa beads takes only 7 to 8 minutes. For one person who's very new, at best maximum, it would take 10 minutes. Now, anybody here can chant. There is nobody who cannot, anybody who has a tongue and ears, you can chant. No, you can chant. So please invest 10 minutes of your time every day and start chanting at least one round of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on your japa beads. Those who are on 1 can go to 2, to 3, to 4, and like that you can progress, and then you can reach your magical minimum 16 rounds every day. D is diet, eat sattvic. We see, people say we are what we think. Yes, the power of what we think is very, very important. But what determines what we think is what we eat, because what we eat has an effect on our mind. It purifies us or it contaminates us. No, so diet, eat Krishna Prasad, eat Krishna Prasad. That will purify our mind. That will purify our existence. That will purify our consciousness. Then E, engagement. Try to visit your local ISKCON temple on a regular basis. Take advantage of all these festivals. Take advantage of all these activities that are going on at the temple. Get involved. There are so many areas where help is required. No, help is required in all areas imaginable. Cooking, cleaning, teaching, office work, web design, media, technical, gardening, anything, whatever you are good at, try to render some service. Try to be engaged in Krishna conscious activities. So what are the 5 topics of the Bhagavad Gita? When we started, we spoke about the 5 topics of the Bhagavad Gita. What are the 5 topics? Does anybody remember? 5 subject matters of the Bhagavad Gita. Jiva. Then what should we know other than that we are spirit soul? Jiva, living entity. What else? Soul, super soul. Okay. So we need to know Jiva and we need to know Bhagavan. We need to know God. Then what else we need to know? What are the 5 subject matters of the Bhagavad Gita? Come on.
Your dharma.
Huh?
Your dharma.
Dharma. Okay. Activities. Our karma. Then 2 more. Okay, let's not waste time. So first thing, who am I? Jiva. See, the 5 subject matters of Bhagavad Gita are Jiva, Prakriti, Karma, Kala, Ishvara. So Jiva means who am I? First of all, we should know who are we. If somebody asks you, who are you? You will say your name. I am so and so. No, but they are not asking what is your name. Who are you? What is your identity? So our identity is that we are spirit souls. So Bhagavad Gita tells us, who am I? Then Prakriti, the material world. Where am I? Where am I? This place where I am located. What is this place? What is this all about? No. Then karma, activities. What am I doing here? What am I doing here? Then how long am I here? Kala, time. How long am I going to be here? How long have I been here? How long am I going to be here? Then is there something beyond this time? Is there something beyond this material world? Yes, that is God, that is Ishvara. So these are the 5 subject matters of the Bhagavad Gita. Jiva, Prakriti, Karma, Kala and Ishvara. So as souls living in the material world, we are performing activities within the jurisdiction of time, though actually we belong to the spiritual world with God. So this one statement summarizes these 5 subject matters. So here you can read some of these leelas I have put here of Srila Prabhupada. Very, very sweet leelas. And here you have this chart, selected themes from the Bhagavad Gita, all the 18 chapters. You have the topics here and where you can read about the topics. Now, soul and transmigration, you can read here in chapter 2, chapter 5, like this. So you can use this chart. If you have to discuss about a particular subject matter, then you know where exactly to read. So this chart will be useful for that, for your in-depth study. So with this, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we come to the end of today's presentation and also to the end of this course. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Do we have any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Renu pranams.
Hare Krishna.
I have a small problem. So my WhatsApp chats, all of them got deleted few days back. I don't know how it happened. Everything got deleted. So all the exam that you had put in, like, it's all gone. Is there any way you can send it again to me?
So there is a okay, I will forward to you. There is a text message with links to all the 17 chapters and also the link to the 18th chapter I will send you. So that will suffice for you to take up the past exams and the 18th chapter. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा माता जी कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम जय पताका महाराज की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय श्री भागवत गीता की जय थैंक यू माता जी
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Matati Dhammapanam. Humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I came late to the class. Brenda Gopika Mataji told me about the class, but not except maybe just 2 months ago. So will you start a new batch of classes so that I can begin from the beginning?
Okay, so the immediate plan is to, from March, end of March, we would start with Krishna book. And when we finish Krishna book, then perhaps we will start with another batch of Bhagavad Gita. If Krishna so
Hare
sanctions.
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
You're welcome. But we have the past recordings on YouTube if you would like to see.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Dhammapanam.
Dhammapanam. So the last day to submit chapter 18 is Wednesday. Please make sure you submit your chapter 18 by Wednesday, and the last date to submit all the past pending exams is 20th of November. 20th of November. Please submit all your past exams and then you can receive your course certificate. That course certificate comes also with blessings of Srila Prabhupada. So please take the effort and submit them as soon as possible. Definitely before the 20th of November.
What did you say about Wednesday? The test that we are doing on 18th is due on Wednesday, or all the tests?
No, Wednesday is the last day to submit chapter 18.
Okay. You want to give us one more extra day, like Thursday?
What's that?
You want to give us one extra day on Thursday? Because I'm still
No
looking.
way.
No.
way.
Wednesday is the last day to submit chapter 18. That is the last day. There is no extension because we already extended by a week. And then 20th November is the last day to submit all past pending exams.
Okay. All right then. Thank you.
So people who have passed us, everyone will get the certificate, right?
Yes, those who submit all 18 chapters with a good mark. That doesn't mean that somebody submits all wrong answers and gets a 5
What is the
out
good
of
mark?
100. No.
What is the good mark?
At least 50%. At
Oh,
least
okay.
50%. At least half the answers you should know. So then everybody gets. But that's not a problem in this group because this is a very high scoring group. There's hardly anybody who gets less than 85.
Oh, wow.
The average score is above 90, 95, 98. There are many 99s and 98s. So it's a very high score. This batch is a very good batch. Krishna has brought together a very nice group. So that's not an issue in this group.
Okay.
Thank you, Mataji, for all the effort that you have taken. And we really appreciate every day every session, every class that we enter. But still, I think we need to go more and more. So we are waiting for your next class to start, which you said it will be after March.
Yeah, Krishna book we will start end of March, but we will have some discussions. Like what we will do next Saturday is we can have a special class on the Damodar Leela. No, the pastime and so we will do Damodar Leela next Saturday. After that, we will have one class on Ekadasi. Why to follow Ekadasi and what's the katha and what's the scientific angle of this Ekadasi and how to follow Ekadasi. So we can have one Ekadasi class. And after that, I'm thinking we can have one class on Lord Jagannath, how the form of Lord Jagannath came into existence. So we can have some classes like that before I travel end of December. And then for
Mataji,
Jan,
one
there will be no
request.
class.
One request. Kunti Maharani's prayer, one class.
Okay, we can do that also.
Shri Brahma Samhitas.
Yes, but those will be a series of classes. No, that we cannot do in one class. It will be a series of classes. So that we'll have to take
Yes.
a time
Whenever you
slot.
get time, yes.
Yeah. So when we have like a time slot for a series of classes, then we can do that also. Thank you, Mataji. Okay.
Looking forward.
I also want to thank you, Mataji. I was thinking Jnana Yoga is the best. Now I learned Bhakti Yoga is the best.
Yes, Bhakti Yoga is the best. It is recommended by Krishna in every chapter, every chapter. So yes, your realization is on the spot.
Thank you.
You're
Hare
welcome.
Krishna Mataji, Koti Koti Dandvat Pranam. Flavia Radhika Mataji is from Atlanta. Can you please share all your YouTube lectures, Sri Bhagavad Gita, so she can hear?
Yes, Amrita Radhika Mataji. Your name is Amrita Radhika Devidasi. Is that correct?
Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I have I saved it. When you sent it before, I saved it. So I have all the classes. I just it's taking me a while to go through them, but I do have them. I was just wondering before when I asked the question if you were going to have any more live ones, but you answered that. I'm looking forward to all of your classes, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mataji.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you for your messages here in the chat. I'm reading Jolie's message and Mehek Bakshani also has written. Jolie has written again. Thank you. Dipti also. Durga Prasad. So thank you very much for being such sincere students. Thank you for your appreciation. And I hope you continue assisting our classes. This has become a part of our lifestyle now. It's a part of our lifestyle now. So by
For
Guru and Krishna, we can.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for putting lots of efforts. It's not easy. One lecture maybe prepare you have to work hard 1 month or 2 months, Mataji. Thank you, Koti Koti Dandvat Pranam to your sincere seva. And please, today 2-minute Giva Govardhan Puja is there. So please give your association to all Vaishnava. Koti Koti Dandvat Pranam to your sincere seva, Radhe.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you so much. Shivani, you have your hand raised?
Yes, Mataji, like I said, everything got deleted. So if you could share the links with me as well, like you used to share for the chapters.
Of the past recordings?
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay, I'll do that. I'll send it to you.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
So today is the most auspicious day when Lord Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill. We can have one class also on the Govardhan Leela. Let's see what Krishna sanctions. Today we have a celebration in our ISKCON temple, and definitely it will be there in your local ISKCON temples as well. So please try to attend. As far as possible, these festivals we should attend. And Govardhan Leela Krishna performed when he was only 7 years old. 7 years old. And Srila Prabhupada would say, no, because many people, non-devotees, sometimes they claim that, oh, we want to perform rasa dance, or we want to dance with the gopis, we want to play with the gopis and the gopas, just as how Krishna did, no, we want to do rasa lila like Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada would say, first you try to lift the Govardhan hill, and then you try to imitate the rasa lila of Krishna. No, so yes, Krishna is God. Krishna is God. He can do Rasa Leela and he can also lift the Govardhan hill. But we should not imitate. We should follow in the footsteps. No, we should follow the instructions. We should not imitate and become cheap imitators. So, yeah.
Hare
Anything
Krishna
else?
Mataji.
Thank you, Disha Milwani. I'm just reading your message. Thank you for, because you are all, Disha Milwani, Ditya Adnani, Jolie Nandwani, and who else here? Durga Prasad, you all have been in this group for the first time. Most of you have been with us. This is our third online course actually on the Bhagavad Gita, and you all have been with us before. But they are new, no? Dipti, Disha, Jolie, it's for the first time. So that makes it even more special. And all of you here, those who are doing this for the first time also, you have got very high scores in the Bhagavad Gita exams. So that tells a lot about how you are reading and rereading and scrutinizingly reading the Bhagavad Gita to be able to answer those questions. So I really appreciate it very much. And I really thank you for all from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this. Thank you so much.
One Prabhuji has question, Mataji. Please read chat.
Okay, let's see. I don't see any questions here in the chat. Maybe it's sent to you privately, Mataji, because it's not here in the public.
He is asking, but in the middle, somebody has questions. He will ask. Prabhuji, please go ahead. Day after tomorrow is Srila Prabhupada appearance day, Mataji. 1 minute for Srila Prabhupada appearance day.
It was Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day, no? Disappearance day.
Yes,
Srila
please.
Prabhupada
Yes,
gave up
please,
his
please
body.
forgive me. Please forgive
Yeah,
me.
Srila Prabhupada gave up his body in Sri Vrindavan Dham. And for a Vaishnava, there is no birth and there is no death. We say appearance day and disappearance day because pure devotees, they come because they want to come, they want to preach because that is Krishna's message for them. They are not here like other conditioned souls who are here because of our karmic reactions, no. But pure devotees come out of their free will, out of their compassion, for fulfilling the instruction of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada appeared here in order to deliver all of us. See, Srila Prabhupada is that personality who was predicted in the Shastras. No? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that my Senapati Bhakta will come and he will spread this chanting to every town and village. And at that time, people thought that probably Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was talking about India, only Bharatvarsha, only in India, because to think of some American or Russian or Japanese or Chinese or African people to be chanting Hare Krishna, to be participating in a Rath Yatra festival, it was unheard of. It was impossible. It was, I mean, when would one imagine a white skinned man or a black skinned man or a brown skinned man or a Chinese or a Korean, with shikha, with dhoti and with japa beads, chanting and dancing the holy names of Lord Krishna. It was impossible to think of this at that time, no? But it was Srila Prabhupada who took the chanting of this holy name to every town and village. Now, anywhere in the world you go, you will see devotees, you will see Vaishnavas, you will see Rath Yatra festivals, you will see Krishna Prasad, you will see Kirtan, and so many things that Srila Prabhupada has established. What Prabhupada did was he established a home, a worldwide home for all Vaishnavas. See, you may travel to anywhere in the world you go to an ISKCON temple, you feel at home because it's the same thing, no? You are at home. So Prabhupada has created a worldwide home for all us Vaishnavas, all us devotees, so that we don't feel lost, we don't feel disconnected from Krishna. No? Anywhere you go, there is an ISKCON temple. And Prabhupada achieved this in his extreme old age. No, he was 70 years old. He had no money. He had no wealth. He had no contacts. He had no contacts in the Western world. He had nobody to help him. No, he had written a letter to different politicians and different god brothers to send some help, to send some finances, but he received no help at all. No. So Srila Prabhupada single-handedly established this worldwide organization. And this is not possible unless one is empowered by Krishna. So if Krishna personally empowered Srila Prabhupada to carry out this impossible mission. No? So Srila Prabhupada is an empowered incarnation of Lord. His books are not ordinary books. If you can associate with Prabhupada, if you can associate with him through his books, his lectures, then that itself is so purifying. That is itself is so purifying. I personally, from my own personal experience, I can say that when I saw Prabhupada's biography in YouTube, you can just Google Prabhupada's biography, Abhay Charan. So when I saw that, that was when I decided that this is the organization I want to join, because I want to join the organization of this person. When I saw the actor, because there is a person who acted as Prabhupada, no, that's not real Prabhupada, actor Prabhupada. Just by seeing actor Prabhupada, I was so influenced, by the life and pastimes of Srila Prabhupada that then that's when I decided that I have to join this organization, because this person is not going to cheat me. I got that confidence that this, because in spiritual life there are so many bogus people, bogus gurus who cheat you. So I realized that this person is not going to cheat me, and that's when I decided that I want to join. this particular organization of Srila Prabhupada. No, that's how I joined ISKCON. So if you can watch that biography also, it's very, very nice. And how he established ISKCON and how he achieved such impossible things, everything you can see in that. So just Google you in your YouTube. You can search for Srila Prabhupada's biography, Abhay Charan. It's available in Bengali and Hindi and English, if I'm not mistaken, in your YouTube. Shivani, you have your hand raised.
Oh, no, sorry, Mataji. I'm just sorry. Now I'm looking forward to our class in March and looking forward to next week as well. Thank you so much for being our teacher, being our guru, and very, very grateful to you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Shivani. Okay, anything else we need to discuss? So Durga Prasad has a question here in the chat. The qualities in spiritual world is opposite in material world. Who comes with spiritual qualities, they will get material qualities. Depends if one is a conditioned soul. It's not for the pure devotees. So one gets, because of our association with matter, then we get material qualities. But if one is a pure devotee, then one is not influenced by the modes of material nature. So it depends if one is a conditioned soul or one is a pure devotee or one is on a liberated platform.
No, if he has more qualities, that's what my question. If he has more qualities,
if he
he
has,
will get opposite qualities more.
if
Something like
he,
that.
no, if who has more of what qualities?
More of spiritual qualities there. For suppose spiritual qualities are like love here is last, and also different qualities.
So if he has more of what qualities?
Any
And
good
who?
qualities in spiritual
Depends
world.
now. If you're talking about if you're talking
any
about
general soul.
So if you're talking about a conditioned soul, it depends on what kind of association he's also getting here now. If he has more of spiritual qualities, he's carrying on from where he left off in the previous lifetime. Let's say he's carrying on from 91% in this lifetime. So he has 90% he has already done. So he's carrying on from 91%. So it is more favorable for him that he will finish up his business in this lifetime. But if he falls into bad association, then it is possible that he will develop more bad qualities. But if he gets saintly association, then he will finish up his business. So it depends on, again, how much of the ABCD he's doing in this life.
Oh, that association, okay, mother. That depends on again where he will go and all. For example, Yamadutas, Vishnu Dutas, those two are great devotees. They came here with so much atrocities. Quite opposite. Like how love they have there, but he is such a lusty desire, all the things they got here. So like that I'm asking.
Vishnu Dutas? Yamadutas?
Yeah. No, Vishnu Dutas only. Jai
Ravan
Vijay.
and
Jai Vijay, they came as 3 avatars, na? Ravan, Kumbhakarna. Like that. That's what my question.
Yeah, that is because they were cursed. No, that is that is another case because they were cursed by the 4 Kumaras. So they are under the curse of the 4 Kumaras. So they have to suffer that curse. So they chose to live life as demons. So demons means there are more demonic qualities than divine qualities. They chose to live 3 lifetimes as demons, right? That's the choice they made.
Okay, Mother. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? So I'm reading here messages of Manju, Varsha, Divya, Shivani. Thank you.
Mataji, please send Chile temple darshan, Shishi Govardhan Puja.
Okay, I will do that. I will share the photos.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji.
Sanam, wanted to thank you for your classes, and we were very happy to join. On behalf of me and Lal, a big thanks, and hope to join again very soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we also hope that y'all can join us and we will never let you go. This is like a transcendental mafia, no? You come with your own will, but you cannot leave.
That's
so
no,
yes.
we got close to the classes, of course. but missed also 2-3 classes because, had things to do and because of this issue of my mom also. But all the previous classes, very happy to join. And thank you for teaching us about Bhagavad Gita and really learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. All right,
Mataji,
friends. Yes.
Mataji, before you end the class, can we get darshan of your parents, please?
Maybe not today. Some other time. Maybe next class. Not today. I need to tell them in advance. Or maybe I can share a photo in the next class. I will ask them what they want to do later in private, and then we will see in the next class. Okay? Is that okay?
Yes, sure, Mataji. Just wanted to get their darshan, that's all.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, then. See you all in the next class of Krishna Source Sanctions. We will have a special class on Damodar Leela. Please do join us. Till then, have a nice weekend. Krishna Consciousness. Vanchakalpataruvyaschа kripa sindhu vyayevacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय
Jai.
थैंक यू हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dana Pranam.
Thank
Happy
you, Mataji. Hare
Bhagavad
Krishna.
Gita.
Koti Koti
Mataji.
Dandavat Pranam. Jai Shri
Thank you so
Prabhupada.
much.
Radhe Radhe.